All right, so here she is. So I will stop talking about her in the third person. You look fine, by the way. Thank you, Nia, for joining us today. You need a minute?
Of course.
Oh, you're good. Okay. All right. So just to kind of get things started for everyone, this is our class. I know you probably can't see them on your phone. And we're all journalism students here. And so why don't you kind of like tell us how this all sort of came about? Tell us what's going on with the statue, how you became aware of it, and take us through what's going on over the summer.
Okay. Well, first, can you guys hear me? I know there's a lot of background noise going on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So this all kind of got started in roughly June, like early summer, after the incident with George Floyd. Several of us, I was not really active at the moment because I was summer classes, oh my God, school life. But my brothers and some people from the community, including the Huntsville Pride group, they all got together and then organized this vigil. And so after that, there was a lot of talk as to, the issues that actually go on, not only in the grand scheme of the world in America, but also in your local community. And being as we've all pretty much had experiences within the Huntsville community, especially my brothers being young Black African-American men, there was a lot of talk about how can we affect change in our community? How can we make our community better and make our community realize, especially Huntsville, a more conservative town, reconciling and understanding the reality that a lot of its Black community members face, and really anyone who does not fall into like the status quo of society. And so after a period of time, a whole bunch of us were trying to figure out how to really get more involved. And then that's when I kind of jumped in after my summer classes ended and just tried to work toward making this thing more organized. At that point, we were called just Black Lives Matter because, that's the umbrella, the movement that we identify with. We're not connected to the national organization at all. We're a grassroots thing. We want to have full control over our organization and what we focus on here in our local community.
Okay, so do you remember what kind of, how you kind of made the connection about having seen that there was a Confederate, monument in the middle of town, and then what made you kind of, was it something that you saw nationally happening? What put it in your mind that you have this something over in town?
Okay, well, with that is I'm a big history buff, so I know Black history, American history, Civil War, all that kind of stuff, Jim Crow era, all that kind of stuff. And I remembered walking or driving. I think I was driving by a while ago, a good while ago, before all this happened, and just seeing something that said a Confederate something, like just something on the courthouse with the word Confederate, and I was just like, that's kind of problematic. Seeing as history, like accurate history, and so. Conjoining that with like the topic of Black Lives Matter and Black history and Black American reality to the issue of the Confederate monument, like there's a lot of things that people just don't think about. Like you don't think that the history of the Confederacy and keeping symbols up like that is just a slap in the face essentially to the history of not only of American history but also to Black Americans. To Black people in America, knowing for what the Confederacy stood for, and to see that on the county courthouse grounds was jarring. And then, a bunch of people, some young people from the high school, they had really gotten involved as well. Specifically, this one young girl who actually had traveled, and then she saw, the issue of the monument on the courthouse grounds. And then we all kind of joined together and just we're trying to figure out a way to bring attention to just the hypocrisy of having that monument just blatantly displayed like that, especially it being dedicated to Confederate patriots.
This started back in June, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how did it go from organizing kind of a physical protest to it becoming going in front of the county commissioner? How did that come out? Yeah.
Well, that kind of came about by me because I am a very conversation-heavy person. I like having conversation, and that's the only way that you can really affect any change. So we had connected with various people, older people who actually have been in this community for a long time, so they know how things work. Informed us that the issue of like the monument and to really address that would be best done by appealing to the commissioner's court. And then we went there on the first day was June 22nd. We went up there and we spoke And then we realized that this is a bigger issue than what it just looks like at face value. And so that also was kind of helped by me coming in because I like speaking. I am a speaker all day. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then, but prior to that, I kind of just got thrust into the role of president or leader. I didn't ask for it at all. It just happened that way. It just developed that way. And so with my speaker, English writer, that kind of background, it was natural for me to actually get up there and just speak every week, along several of my friends and peers and professors as well.
Right. Now, what has kind of been the downside to this? I mean, this cannot have been easy. It's never easy to step out into the spotlight like this.
I would say the downside is being more in the public eye, because we have protests every Wednesday and Friday as well, which is another, just getting more, anytime you're in a position where you're seen more, you get to really experience more. It's like you switch from living in a city, to living in a city, and really seeing what's actually going on, beneath the surface. There's none of this foo-foo stuff up here. You can see what's actually going on, behind the scenes. And I have a musical theater background, so you always got to pay attention to what's happening behind the scenes. So we've gotten to see a lot with community, a lot of positivity, just a lot of, which is really good. But then on the other hand, flip side is also a lot of negativity that we are seeing. People, call us just people you wouldn't think, now to be people, still using racial slurs and stuff like that. But it's still very much present, which only, again, tied into the fact that we have to have these conversations, have to have this education process, bringing awareness to these issues that people don't think about. Because when you don't think about it, you think that they're gone. But just because you're not talking about something does not mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean, just because you put the lid on a boiling pot of water does not mean that the water is no longer boiling. It's going to eventually boil over.
Excellent. So what is your next step? Where does it stand now, and what's your next move when it comes to getting that statue removed?
The next move is just continuing to go to the Commissioner's Court hearings. This is going to be, I think, my 11th week, I believe, appearing, which is good because you never want to back off, because people think that just because people stop talking, that things are not happening anymore. So just consistently going back up there, hoping, not pushing the issue to the agenda, because we apparently have a lot of education to do, and it's not the right move to make just strategically when you only have one shot to affect change. So just being patient, continuing to appeal to the moral side of people, the historical side of things, and just do whatever we can, to be, to just try, essentially, because there's not much that we can do aside from just try and appeal to these different areas of the court and of the city of Huntsville.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to throw it over to the class. But would you guys like to ask some questions, please? Do you have some questions for Nia?
I take any questions.
Yeah.
You could ask me about my personal life. I don't care.
You want to ask her a question?
I'll go ahead. Okay, I was going to ask, what does this movement mean to you, and how would you explain it to someone trying to understand it better, someone that doesn't know anything about it?
I would say that to me, this movement means awareness, recognition, and just accepting the uncomfortable, accepting other people's experiences, beyond what is your individual experience. Because just because you're around people that think like you does not necessarily mean that you're growing or that you really understand. So I guess better it would say growth. It would say growth and progress. I would say, because just being a young Black person, in America, and with this issue, it really uncovers that there's a lot of historical things that no one really thinks about, or just a lot of misconceptions with history in general, and just understanding factual history and coming to terms with that, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable it is. Until we can do that, we will never be able to actually move forward. Until we can understand other people and have these hard, difficult conversations, we'll never be able to move forward as a collective, not as this person, but as a united people. And hopefully, wait, what was the last part of your question? I'm sorry.
Um,
How would I
covered,
explain
I
it?
think you covered it all. I was just asking how do you explain it to someone trying to understand it better?
Oh, and if I may add, because I need to address her name, like BLM hair, I should probably address that. Again, the misconception of the Black Lives Matter, like that part of it. We have a lot of things going on where people don't understand what that actually means. It doesn't mean that, and I've had this conversation many times, it does not mean that only Black Lives Matter, like that these other lives don't matter. No, it's just, bringing attention to issues that affect, a particularly attacked part of society. Like, we all know that all lives matter, of course. Like, as empathetic as I am, I know that everybody's life matters. But if my son were hit by a drunk driver, like, and he died, I would want to bring attention to that specifically. I would not want to like say, well, all the other children unfortunately passed away too. Yes, but for that person hurting, it was that individual. So it's more so that type of energy. There's no hate, there's nothing like that. No animosity. It's just it's just asking for. It's like asking for recognition, asking for attention. I guess I should say.
And that is a pitfall. I mean, when you step into the public eye, oftentimes people forget you are a person. You're a student, you're a music student, you have dreams about doing other things other than this. It's not about being angry and hating the white man.
No.
It was not even something you sat around and planned. You just kind of got swept up into doing what you thought what you think is the right thing. And so, I mean, tell us a little bit about, like, so that we have it coming into your mouth. What it is you came to do, what you study in music, that there's more to you than just this.
Yeah. Okay. So first
tell
of all,
a little bit about yourself.
I'm a music therapy student. I'm a senior. Yes. I play the cello. I'm in the jazz singing ensemble. I'm a jazz singer. I love jazz. Always have. I have a musical theater background as well. I'm just all things music basically. And I also have an alternative metal band. Alternative metal with my brothers, and my dad, like our dad is a pastor. I'm an average person. Like, I'm very relatable, I'm very friendly, I talk to anybody, and that's the big thing. I would talk to anybody regardless of what their views are, because I see people as people. I want to get to know the person. So I'm not going around trying to check people or doing any of that stuff. I'm just trying to be me. Like, I get along with everybody. I can be friends with everybody. With all y'all here, I'm pretty sure we could all be chilling, and then I'll just vibing together. So
have you found that like when people kind of hear like that you started the chapter Black Lives Matter, that you are kind of becoming the face of this of removing the statue, are you getting like different reactions? Are people treating you a little differently, or are they judging you without knowing you? Or?
Yeah, like I've gotten looks like in the store and like side eyes, and people call me, like, I've been called like a bitch before. And honestly, I will have to say, like, prior to being in like the public eye, I've never been called that, which might be surprising. Like, I've never been called that before. I've never been called out my name before and called like a terrorist, or I've gotten that a lot, like a terrorist before. So it's really jarring, just knowing like how I am as a person, and then they like just being labeled like that it's just hurtful, because I'm like, okay, you didn't have to do that. Okay, like, you can just talk to me. We've had a lot of people come talk to us because they just don't understand. I'd rather somebody come talk to me if they don't understand than just try to yell something out their car or give me any type of look. Just talk to me, and we'll get to know each other. I'll see your side. Hopefully, you'll see my side, and we'll be able to come to a common ground. This is never. I don't ever want to be an angry, emotional debate, because you won't get anywhere like that. Instead, this has to be an educational process with a deliberative dialogue. where you can potentially reach like a common ground.
Yeah. Very well said. So, how have you dealings been with like the city and the county, right? The county commissioner and the city.
County.
Have they been respectful? Have they been? I mean, I know they have their opinions, but have they treating you fairly?
Oh,
That's an unfair question. I should not have asked you that like that. I appreciate you answering it. You actually you handle yourself very well on camera. I'm sure you have had some practice now. You can step in pitfalls. So I will consider that answer off the record. So and I will take that to the class. All right. So do you guys have any final questions or anything else that you would, if you were gonna, for parts of her interview to build a news package, anything you want to ask? Anyone from the newspaper or anything I missed? Anybody? No lunch, no science? Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it was great. I think this will work fine, video quality and all that. So, but I appreciate your time so much, and keep fighting the good fight.